political and economic uncertainty put a damper on what was looking like a fall recovery market. I'm Tony with Clarkson Santoro, and this is our real estate update for the week of Friday, September 26th. We know that selling or buying a home can be very stressful and confusing. That's why we do these weekly videos so you can know how the market is impacting your options as a home seller or buyer. This week we had 47 homes on the market, one more than we had last week, and about the same as we had 2 weeks ago. The average asking price came up a little bit on those homes to $1,845,000, up from $1,735,000 last week. 8 homes went pending, one more than last week, with an average asking price on those pending sales down significantly to $1,454,000, down from the $1,773,000 last week, and 6 homes, less than half of last week, sold this week. However, the average sales price did come up a little bit, up to $1,854,000, up from $762,000 last week. So now we know how the market performed this past week, and we can now look ahead at what the indicators that we look at to determine where the market might be heading. Before we do that, if you find this information helpful, you can hit the subscribe button down below so you don't miss out on future updates. And while you're doing that, why not hit the share button and share it with a friend? Everyone deserves to be in the know about their local real estate market. Okay, let's look at those indicators. After several weeks of slowly retreating into more normal levels, inventory has flattened this week. It actually increased by 1 house compared to last week, but that brings it back to about the same number as 2 weeks ago, like I said at the beginning of the video. If inventory levels settles in here in the mid-40s, that would be considered a pretty neutral market, but I would call that a high market for the fall and winter. But here we are pretty flat at the moment. Even with the leveling off of inventory, the turnover rate actually improved just slightly this week, from here to here. Like I said, slight. It's still below 70% of normal, which is a little discouraging after it had clawed its way back above 80% a couple weeks ago. If we can get back to 100%, then the inventory level staying in the 40s would actually be fine. But low pending numbers means the turnover rate is unlikely to improve significantly anytime soon. The over-under number has improved this week. Now, that might sound counterintuitive with the first 2 indicators that we've already looked at slowing down. But this over-under number is a lagging indicator, so it will be a few weeks behind. The encouraging news is that we are close to breaking even with the average sales price compared to the average asking price of homes. We are less than 0.25% below the average asking price right now. The other lagging indicator also improved this week, just slightly. The average sales price moved up $2,000 from last week. With this week's current pending sales price and closing sales price numbers reducing, I do expect to see this average sales price fall back down to the 1.8 range in the next couple of weeks. This is a result of the lower priced homes still performing well in this market, even while the more expensive homes struggle here in San Ramon to find interested buyers. The Triple-Q fund kept climbing this week. Before taking a minor setback and kind of settling in at about level from last week's number. Checking in on this fund on a weekly basis means that even with a stable portfolio, you are going to have some down weeks. This fund continues to perform well, but our overall economic and political atmosphere is still maintaining a more sober outlook on the future of the economy, which will always keep our housing market from performing as smoothly as we know it is capable of doing. And speaking of that economic and political atmosphere, that has continued to affect the way mortgage rates perform. The national rate moved back up 4 basis points this week. While that's not a significant increase, it's in clear contrast to the hopeful trend we had been observing over the past month of that rate slowly reducing. The market was moving very comfortably towards a nice recovery fall season. Unfortunately, this week has put a damper on that momentum. Part of the reduced momentum comes from political unrest, and part of that comes from the economic uncertainty, somewhat tied to the political atmosphere. Whenever there's an increase in highly televised violence, people start to be more conservative with their spending. Added on top of that, changes in the way the White House has announced that they are considering changes in the way the H-1B visas would be handled for non-citizen workers here in the US. That would play a huge role in our market specifically, as Silicon Valley tech firms tend to employ a high percentage of H-1B employees. And those employees are a large portion of the buyers that are looking specifically here in our real estate market. I think that will cause a large portion of our buyer demographic to really stop and consider if making a purchase on a house is a smart decision with all that uncertainty looming. Thank you for joining me on this weekly update. I hope it helps you understand how our market is impacting your options. And don't forget to hit the subscribe button, ring the notification bell so you stay informed on how the market continues to shape up. And if you have any questions about how you can navigate the stressful, confusing process of selling or buying a home, leave a comment down below or reach out to us directly. We're here to help guide you every step of the way. Thanks for joining me. Have a safe weekend, and I'll see you next week with a new update.